All coups have an ethnic coloration. No. No. What was the ethnic coloration of the Abacha coup? When you make statements like this, please be thinking about it very well. What was the ethnic coloration of the Abdulsalam Abubakar coup? The one in 98. What was the coloration of that coup? Because you said all coups have ethnic coloration. What was the coloration of IBB's coup? Mr. Latunji, good to see you, sir. What was the ethnic coloration of IBB's coup? What's the coloration of Gideon Oka's coup? You can't. Let me tell you the one that I can really tell like, okay, I can tell you it's colored. Number one is the 1966 January coup. It was Igbo coup. Not because of the planners alone, because of the activities and the things they really wanted to achieve. And I'm going to say it again today once I'm done with this. Number two was the Northern Counter coup of July 1966. Those two coups had ethnic coloration, and nobody would even argue with anybody unless you're just joking. January coup was Igbo, July coup was Northern. Fact. And by the way, the people who planned the Northern coup, they don't have any issues admitting it. You won't see T.Y. Danjuma tell you that it wasn't Northern, or you see Murtala Mohammed saying it wasn't Northern coup. It was Northern coup. It was a revenge coup. And it's fine. I'm not saying it's fine that the coup happened. I'm just saying that to acknowledge it is fine. There's no other coup in Nigeria that you can tell me is ethnic. The closest thing would be the secession plan of Adakaboro in 67. And even that was not a coup. So, when you say all coups are ethnic, I don't know. All coups are not. Coups can be ethnic, but they're not necessarily ethnic. Gideon Oka's coup was on nepotism. Well, you cannot say it's a middle belt coup, for instance, because of the way it was done. You can't even say it. So it's a lot of times people say things like, oh, but I was watching an interview this morning, and somebody says, but what about the intentions of the coup planners? And I was like, what? Who cares? The world does not judge you by your intentions. It judges you by your actions. I don't care. You know what they say? The highway to hell is paved with good intentions. The highway to hell is paved with good intentions. Oh, I really wanted to do something good though. What did you do? That's what they're going to ask you. Not what were you thinking of. Meanwhile, when you talk about intentions, what were the real intentions? That's the question. And I'll tell you there were two. And that's why I feel very sorry for this man that wrote this book and this one whose face is here. These two people, I feel sorry for them. Because as far as they were concerned, their intention was to have revolutionary. Read his speech. Read Nzogu's speech that he delivered on Radio Kaduna. Read this one's book. It's like a manifesto of sorts. What you see is that they just wanted change. Now let us go and see what happened with Captain Oji, Ifajuna, and Major Don Okafor. Okafor was the only one who went back to Ademoyega to say, I have lost my men. How could you lose your men? How could you lose your position? And thankfully, thank God, see, that books are good. Thank God. When you read Bulie's book, Bulie said Okafor and Oji were treacherous because Oji was from Umuahia just like Ironsi, and he said no harm must come to Ironsi. But he was one of the original three planners. Which tells me that when you now put it together with what Gowon said, that on the 9th or 15th, in the middle of the night, when Ironsi met him and his girlfriend, which is also, who this guy also referred to, Edith Ike, Ironsi said to them, have a great time, said some vulgar words, and then said, nobody knows tomorrow. So you admit Nzogu was not the villain they made him out to be. Gosh, I misunderstood you. Maybe you're just listening to me for the first time. On Rossi, the only terrible thing about Nzogu was that the way he killed the Sardauna and the way he talked about it. But I'll tell you this, it was a terrible thing he did, but his heart was in the right place. He was a revolutionary, just like Ademoyega. Just wanted to change the world. They were just idealistic, nationalists, turn things around, but they were naive because they were being used. When you watch the interviews that he granted to BBC, for instance, you would think he's the one that planned the whole thing. He didn't. He wasn't. He was brought in later, around October, and I think was executed much later. God bless you, Babatunde Ganiyu. He was an activist with guns. The real culprit of this coup, in fact, let me tell you something. The more you read about these things, the things you cannot say, they are more than the things that you can say. And I think that's why our fathers don't talk. Because if they talk and people hear, but I will say some of those things, and I'll tell you the reason I want to say those things. It's not because I want to say, I know something. No. It's because the ignorance of this thing is destroying Nigeria. It's making people think that they are victims of something that they're not even victims of.